0771 702 as many times as possible to stand a chance to win. Happy New Year from KBC Channel 1.
We will never experience anything like this again in our lives.
My grandfather waits for me to get back from practice just so I can tell him how we're doing.
I love you guys. We always say to finish strong, right?
De La Salle streak and tradition continue.
Our year.
12 years, 151 games in a row. But we were never just about winning. We were built on families.
Doing it, Coach. Get my baby out of Richmond.
And our town coming together.
The longest winning streak in sports history is now over.
But losing the streak tested us all.
Don't let a game define who you are. Let the way you live your lives do that.
It's just a high school football game.
Ever since day one, we've been doing what's best for us. You and me getting out of here together.
People always ask me what it's like to never lose. Today I am lost. All the things I've taught, I don't know if I'm still doing much good here.
I just want you happy and healthy. DNA! Call 911!
Coach told us, face your fears.
Meet Buster Matthews, 330 pounds of pure aggression, and you're gonna face him the whole game.
You've got to decide what you want to be.
Only way I'm going out of this game is on a stretcher.
You know why they call me Buster?
Because you're stupid enough to let him.
No matter where we go or what we achieve, nothing's ever gonna come close to what we have right here, right now.
When the game stands tall.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, Christmas imekuja mapema na quick bid. Lucky bidda ako hapa, tumpe ndivyo yake.
Ndio huyu anaitwa Penua. Heshimiwa na tumemheshimu.
Karibu.
Nduti ndio hii kifungu. Shika kifungu yako boss. Ulibidaje?
Niliingia kwa site ya quickbid.co.ke. Alafu nikafuata the process.
Oh yes.
Nikabid 158 na ndio nikaweza kubai nayo hii pikipiki.
Christmas hii hakuna kutembea. Ndio huyu mheshimiwa Kate. Tufanye aje?
Shika.
Kalia nduti, ndio hii ni ya customer. Hiyo ni yako. Sawa. Kalia nduti, chukua helmet nini yako? Valia, leta nikushikie hii. Valia. Bas, quickbit wanahakikisha pia safety. Iko on point. Haya. Kalia nduti, Kate. Si twende tushughulikie wengine. Si ndio? Si twende tushughulikie wengine. Asanteni sana.
Jiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
It is the 30th of December 2020, just one day before we close the curtains on the year 2020. We want you today to wish anybody you know, anybody you love, wherever you're catching this broadcast from, happy festivities and happy holidays. So do interact with us as we continue with this particular broadcast at KBC Channel 1. That is our social media handles. We will also be streaming this broadcast live on that particular platform. A very good afternoon once again. My name is Serfine Ouma and our sign language interpreter is Lensa Odingo. Welcome on board as we seek to inform you on what has been happening in the country and beyond borders. We begin with matters education, where leaders across the country have been challenged to work together to ensure all children resume physical classes next week. Kacheliba MP Mark Lomonokol says that teen mothers must especially be allowed back to school, calling on the society not to stigmatize them.
With schools set to open on Monday, calls to ensure no child is left behind as resumption of face-to-face learning commences continue to be made. Kacheliba MP Mark Lemunokol noted that the prolonged stay-at-home order has seen an increase in teen pregnancies.
Walimu wasizuie watoto ambao watakuwa wamepachikwa mimba kurudi kwa madarasa. Wote warudi, sababu inafaa tujali maisha ya wasichana. Kama tuseme accidentally ama kwa mapenzi yao walifanya hayo na wamepatikana na makosa, tusije tukawahukumu for the rest of their lives. Tuwape a second chance. Second chance ya kuwarudisha kwa shule wasome, na kwa maoni yangu mtoto yeyote azione aibu kurudi shule, hata awe na mimba, wakuje tu wakae mpaka iwadie ile wakati wa kujifungua, waende wajifungue na wawachie wazazi watoto na wakuje waendeleshe masomo yao, sababu hii ni future generation, na hata huyo mtoto ambaye atazaliwa anahitaji mzazi wa kumchunga. Kwa hivyo ndio maana tunasema imefika wakati ambao haifai tuhukumu ama tu condemn mtu kwa makosa ambaye inaweza rekebika.
Lomonokol said all stakeholders and local administration must collaborate and be part of a spirited campaign to ensure expectant girls resume learning.
Viongozi wote, ikiwa ni upande wa provincial administration, walimu na hata pia viongozi wanasiasa kama mimi ama sisi tunatoa wito kwamba tuifanye campaign kuhakikisha kwamba kama 4th of January watoto wote warejee shule.
He further challenged the Ministry of Water and Education to put measures in place to ensure schools in drought-prone regions like Pokot North have enough supply of water to ensure proper sanitation in schools. He appealed to communities in the area to coexist harmoniously and ensure safety of children as they resume school. Caroline Kama reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
And from education to political matters, former Kiambu County Governor Ferdinand Waititu has suffered a setback in his latest attempts to jumpstart his political career. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission says any public servant who has previously been removed from office shall be denied clearance when seeking a fresh mandate. EACC says it will vet all candidates vying for various positions in the upcoming by-elections to ascertain their level of integrity. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission says it will ensure that all candidates vying for positions in the upcoming by-elections meet the integrity threshold set in Chapter 6 of the Constitution. In a statement, EACC CEO Twalib Mbarak said that the Commission considers that a person is disqualified pursuant to Chapter 6 of the Constitution if the person has been dismissed or otherwise removed from office for contravening Chapter 6 of the Constitution or its enabling legislation in accordance with Article 75(3) of the Constitution, or if the person is found to have misused or abused a state or public office. Mbarak says EACC shall conduct integrity vetting of all candidates in the upcoming by-elections and communicate its determinations to IEBC. The announcement by EACC appeared to be a response to the clearance of former Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu by the Registrar of Political Parties to vie for Nairobi governor. Meanwhile, the ODM party is promising its political nemesis a bruising political battle come 2022. ODM leader Raila Odinga says the party has learned from its mistakes and shall work towards ensuring its position strongly for victory at the ballot.
We are beginning the new year with this agenda of BBI. And we hope that we can be able to push BBI and conclude it as quickly as possible. We want that before the middle of the next year, the referendum will have been done and Kenyans can move on with other things. We want also to ensure that other issues like that of the doctors and nurses which have been nagging are also concluded.
Raila was speaking in Kwale County during a post-mortem of the just concluded Msambweni by-election in which Faisal Abdallah trounced ODM's Omar Boga.
So there's also a big chance that a lot of the people never came out to vote or never had the opportunity for their voices to be heard. So only a fool will use this really to determine ati popularity ya mtu fulani ama ya chama imeisha. Itaitoka namna gani hiyo? And if you celebrate that, basi my friend mpoteza mwelekeo tu vibaya sana.
If you think the win in Msambweni is reflective of your popularity, field a candidate in Nairobi for gubernatorial seat so that we meet in the ballot next year, early next year. If you think you're that popular, field now candidates and identify yourself with those candidates openly and mention your party, political party.
Meanwhile, a section of leaders allied to the deputy president has dismissed those criticizing them for working with like-minded leaders ahead of the 2022 general elections. Speaking in Mosop, Nandi County, during the burial of the father of the area MP, Vincent Tuwei, the legislators say the deputy president had the right to use any political party to ascend to presidency.
Shida ya Jubilee imekuwa ngumu sisi kuwa accommodated katika Jubilee. Tuko na democratic right yetu kufikiria ya kwamba wapi some of the friendly parties ambaye ni coalition partners na Jubilee ambaye tunaweza simama na wao na tuanze kutafuta urafiki na wao. Na najua hii chama hii ya Wilbaro ambayo imekuja ni mojawapo ya machama ambaye ni marafiki wa Jubilee.
Hii chama imebadilisha tu jina na wamebadilisha pia symbol and it is all right. That is democracy. Democracy ya nchi. Hakuna sheria wamevunja. Sasa nyinyi mnahangaika na kusema hii chama kama ni ya William Ruto iko na kama chama ya William Ruto ni ya William Ruto itajulikana kule 2022.
There are sentiments coming even as the Party for Development and Reform changed its name to United Democratic Alliance and adopted a wheelbarrow as its party symbol. Moving on, elders in Samburu County have vowed to cooperate with local authorities to bring female genital mutilation to an end. The elders say it is time the community embraced an alternative rite of passage, urging locals to accept girls who have not undergone the cut. The government aims at ending FGM by the year 2022.
A section of elders will converge at Kisima area in Samburu County early next year to conduct rituals signifying their opposition to the retrogressive FGM practice alongside early marriages. The ceremony will be held following an agreement among elders from 6 regions in the county.
This is where we normally do all those cultures that we do that help us. Like now, for example, the killing of the bull for starting of an age set has always been done in Ngiros.
This is a journey to achieving an end to GBV, and this is very critical, and also the fact that we've been able to align our work to the presidential commitment to end FGM by 2022.
Neno imemsumbua, ameenda ng'ambo, akaidi dunia nzima, ikifika mwaka 2021 haya maneno yataisha hapa Kenya.
Anti-FGM Board Chief Executive Officer Bernadette Lolojo saying they had resolved to advocate for alternative rites of passage that were more dignifying and safe.
Na wazee hawa tumetembea na wao hii safari na leo tumefika mwisho
na tumekubaliana ya kwamba tutakuwa na declaration ambayo wataweza kusema ukeketaji katika Wasamburu imeisha kabisa kabisa. Kwa hivyo mimi nina furaha mingi sana na ninaona ya kwamba safari yetu ya 2022 ya kumaliza ukeketaji Kenya tumeanza kuona mwangaza mkubwa sana.
The elders are calling for acceptance of uncircumcised girls by the community to signify a new dawn to the girls.
I see a new dawn for Samburu. I see a bright future for our girls, and it is also good to be part of history making. Today we are getting a good roadmap for ending FGM.
Nancy Okwari, Channel 1 News.
And the government has been urged to intervene in the recent spike in the numbers of street families in the country. A community-based organization in Kisii County now says there is need to address the root causes of the vice with a view of protecting thousands of children currently living in the streets.
In efforts to rehabilitate street families, a community-based organization in Kisii County has urged the government to put in place measures that will address the increasing numbers of street children. According to the group, the children face a myriad of challenges amid them the COVID-19 pandemic.
Some of the problems that we see they face, especially during this time of quarantine period, is besides the lack of accommodation, besides lack of food, and the living atrocious lives in the streets, they also face a bit of harassment from the policemen, especially because they don't have masks and they don't have the kits for COVID-19.
Some of them are so much into drugs. Some of them are scared to go back home because of the things that are happening back home. Some of them are desiring to go back to school, and some of them are musicians and artists. They are talented, but because they don't have ways to go about it or somebody to just facilitate them on how to thrive.
Speaking in Kisii town during a mentorship program of street families, the group called on the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse to adopt a multi-sectoral approach to the war against drug abuse.
Almost 80% of them, they're actually using drugs. They're using cocaine, they're using marijuana, and we really ask the relevant bodies of the government, for example, NACADA, to really zero in on the street children and find out how they can actually support them, because it's a key issue that is actually wiping out these street children.
According to the National Population Census of 2018, the total number of street persons were 46,639, with the male gender accounting for 72.4% compared to that of the female of 27.6%. Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Jackie Wambiru.
Thank you, Jackie, for that report. Now, away from that, retired Justice Anyara Emukule has called for magnanimity among legal minds to help expedite the dispensation of justice to vulnerable groups in the society. Emukule says many Kenyans are currently unable to afford legal services, challenging lawyers to take up more pro bono cases to help meet the growing demand for legal services.
Justice Emukule says the ever-growing backlog of cases require a multi-pronged approach, among them the provision of pro bono legal services.
Succession today is online. My grandmother, or people my age, or older than I am, even if they're literate, are not used to this business of internet. Okay? These young people will be able to do that.
Speaking during the launch of the Anyara Emukule Foundation, the retired justice said many Kenyans cannot afford legal services, hence the need for lawyers to lend a helping hand.
Used to this business of internet, okay? These young people will be able to do that. Etc. Not directly.
Meanwhile, Teso North MP Oku Kaonya has called for the protection of journalists in the country. The lawmaker, in condemning the recent attack on a KBC journalist in Nakuru, challenged the Independent Policing Oversight Authority to ensure justice is served.
Journalists are just messengers. These are people who give information. They pick information and they are able to keep society informed, educated and entertained. So these are it's quite unfortunate, an unfortunate incident that, of course, the law should take its course.
And a section of religious leaders from Western Kenya are now calling on the local community to instill proper morals in young men to avoid incidences where they involve themselves in social vices. Speaking during a circumcision ceremony in Mautama area of Lugari constituency, Bishop Godfrey Shihundu challenged the community to sensitize young men to develop proper values as they transition into adulthood.
Prayers and advice for Eugene Baraza, who has completed his rite of passage, transitioning from a boy to a man as per the traditions. It is during this celebration that Bishop Godfrey Shihundu called for the need to teach young men how to uphold the right morals while growing up in the society.
Kwa sababu mtoto wa kiume alisaulika, tumeona mambo ambayo yanafanyika katika jamii yetu ya ajabu sana. Shida ambayo tumeikumba na nayo juzi ya wasichana kupata mimba wadogo na kadhalika, na uhalifu mwingi umetokana kwa sababu mtoto kijana alisahulika na hana baba ama hana watu ambao wanamtetea na kumsaidia na kumshauri.
The man of cloth saying parents and community members have a role to play in the correct upbringing of the young men to avoid falling into social vices.
Tuwe tayari kuamka wazee tukaweze kusaidia watoto wetu wa kiume wasimame na wakaweze kusimamia jamii yetu.
Eugene's father and businessman took the opportunity to donate foodstuffs and call on young men to avoid falling into drug use and physical violence. Isufar, Channel 1 News.
And now moving on, IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati has warned that the commission will not clear candidates who have been impeached to contest for elective positions. Chebukati says the leaders who have been removed from office over integrity issues will not be allowed on the ballot, as this would be contrary to Chapter 6 of the Constitution on Leadership and Integrity. Chebukati's sentiments coming a day after the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission said Mike Sonko and Ferdinand Waititu will not be eligible to vie in the Nairobi governor contest. Chebukati spoke during the launch of a signature verification exercise following collection of signatures by the BBI task force. 400 clerks are set to verify 4.4 million signatures presented to IEBC in the referendum drive.
Many candidates, and the commission is yet to clear these candidates or consider clearing these candidates. So we have a process which has been gazetted, and we shall follow that process. But I just want to say this. The commission is a creature of the law. It's not what one individual says or an organization says which guides what we do. We follow the law, and when it comes to issues of, say, the candidate you are referring to, and we are guided by the law. The law, for example, says if you have been convicted and jailed for more than 6 months, you are not eligible to stand for an electoral position. And similarly, under Chapter 6, if you look at Article 75, you look at Article 180 of the Constitution, read together with Article 193 of the Constitution, it is very, very clear that a person or individual who has been impeached cannot run for an electoral position. That's very clear in the law. So let's read.
Of course, we got more details about how the launch of the signature verification drive went down at the Bomas of Kenya. We'll be giving you those details as the day progresses. But I'd like to appreciate those of you who've tuned in. Queen Sensa J. Chepkos, you're watching from Mailisaba in Kitale. Gilgil Elijah, you are watching us from Nakuru County. Robinson Lagat, also from Nakuru. Lasbon Mutali, you're saying you're watching from Kilifi County. Tyson Brosson, you're watching from Nandi. And And Vincent Juma, you're watching us from Lunyu, Muvunje area. And Samuel Oro JP, you say Nakuru never misses. We really appreciate you and all of you who are watching us from that county and other parts of the country. Now, allow us to take a very short break. We are coming back with more news.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, Christmas imekuja mapema na quick bid. Lucky bidda ako hapa, tumpe bibi yake.
Ndio huyu anaitwa Penua. Heshimiwa na tumemheshimu.
Karibu.
Nduti ndio hii kifungu. Shika kifungu yako boss. Ulibidaje?
Niliingia kwa site ya quickbid.co.ke. Alafu nikafuata the process.
Oh yes.
Nikabid 158 na ndio nikaweza kubai nayo hii pikipiki.
Christmas hii hakuna kutembea. Ndio huyu mheshimiwa Kate. Tufanye aje? Shika. Kalia nduti. Ndio hii ni ya customer. Hiyo ni yako. Sawa. Kalia nduti, mpachukua helmet nini yako? Valia, leta nikushikie hii. Valia. Bas, quick bit wanahakikisha pia safety. Iko on point. Haya. Kalia nduti. Kate, si twende tushughulikie wengine. Si ndio? Twende tushughulikie wengine. Asanteni sana.
Jiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Simojifanya ni washindani. Ngoja siku ifike.
Mimi ni paka mwitu, nitakupa pura.
Ni usiku sasa, matatizo kuna nini?
Mtume! Nilikwambia wacha kuzungumza na mwanamke. She has no respect. Coming to my party. Wacha kunipiga, nipige.
Kuwa makini sana ule mke wako. La usivyo tukugharimu.
Mamako mwenyewe. Wewe usiniudhi. Sawa, wewe ulimwona mamangu?
Huwezi kunisaidia. Nenda zako. To you too. Cheers.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
I can't marry you if I don't have a job because I can't provide for you, and it wouldn't give you the lifestyle that you're used to.
I feel like she doesn't want to reconcile with you. I don't want to discourage you, but I don't think she'll come to Mexico to attend your birthday.
You and Nina have been such a huge blessing in my life. I don't know where I would be without you two.
Still a big mystery until now why Mr. Mauro doesn't want to touch that land.
I will not tell Amaya anything about that land. Why is it that you hate me so much?
You were supposed to make our lives better, but you made it even worse.
Now, a row has erupted between residents of Karibaribi Estate in Thika Sub-County over an ongoing waste management project in the area. Locals say the strong stench emanating from garbage dumped on the farm for recycling has left them sick, calling on the government agencies to address their plight.
A noble idea is now the subject of a growing controversy between residents of an estate in Thika, Kiambu County. Garbage recycling usually goes a long way in conserving the environment, but for residents of Karibaribi Estate, it is turning out to be a menace. The residents say the strong stench emanating from garbage dumped on the farm has made life unbearable.
Sijui kama serikali inakubali hii takataka iletwe katika sisi, ikaletwa hapa ya kuharibu sisi watu wa hapa, na mimi pia mimi yuko karibu na huyu mzee.
Kama saa 8 ikifika hapa ukiwa upande ule mwingine unasikia hiyo harufu. Kwa hivyo na magonjwa yote kukinyesha huku itakuwa mbovu.
The waste management project is run by one Peter Kiari, who says he has the approval of the county government to carry out the activity. Kiari says he has been excavating red soil from his farm and mixing it with solid waste from the county dump sites to produce organic fertilizer for farming. His neighbors, however, say the stench is terrible and their complaints to various relevant agencies to have the project relocated have fallen on deaf ears.
Barua zote ziko huko. Barua zote zimetumwa county government, zikatumwa kwa NEMA, zikatumwa kwa administration. Hakuna hata polisi Thika wako na hiyo barua. Kwa hivyo hii takataka itaudhi hata ule atakuja kununua shamba huku, hawezi fanya value ya shamba ipande juu.
Juu watoto homa na nini aishi. Sasa tumeenda sana, barua tumewaandikia wote, kina NEMA, akina watu wa county government, ofisi ya governor tumeandikia barua, lakini hakuna actions wamechukua.
Kiare has blamed the ongoing hostility on lack of civic education on waste management. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
All right, and now we are going to be crossing the borders right now. Just looking at some of the stories that are shaping the news on the international scene. The United Kingdom has approved the use of Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine, which has been designed by scientists at the University of Oxford. It marks a major turning point and will lead to a massive expansion in the UK's immunization campaign.
It's the second jab to be approved in the UK after the Pfizer biotech vaccine was given the go-ahead in December. The UK has ordered 100 million doses from the manufacturer AstraZeneca, enough to vaccinate 50 million people. Elsewhere, a study by researchers at the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention has shown nearly 500,000 people in Wuhan may have had the virus. The study comes ahead of a visit by a team of international scientists to Wuhan to investigate the origins of the virus and say asymptomatic cases are not counted in China. Meanwhile, the new highly infectious COVID-19 strain first identified in the United Kingdom has been reported in the US in Colorado. This comes as US President-elect Joe Biden criticized the Trump administration over distribution of vaccines. He said the program was falling behind schedule.
Now, let me bring you back to the country a little bit. An initiative to benefit flood victims in Budalangi constituency, Busia County, has been launched, setting the stage for the victims to receive relief aid. The initiative, that is spearheaded by the annual Isambo Beach Carnival, will see over 2,000 iron sheets distributed to families affected by floods. Foreign Affairs Chief Administrative Secretary Ababu Namwamba says the donation is aimed at ensuring those affected are able to rebuild their lives. He called on well-wishers to support the less fortunate in the society.
Peana mkono kwa usaidizi kwa wenzetu waliathirika na mafuriko katika kaunti hii ya Busia, hasa eneo bunge la Budalangi ambapo zaidi ya watu 40,000 waliathirika na mafuriko mabaya zaidi ambayo hajawahi onekana hapa kwa zaidi ya muda wa miaka 50. Kwa hivyo tumeanzisha shughuli ya kugawa mabati ya ujenzi zaidi ya 2,000 kwa waathiriwa. Mabati haya ni kusaidia waathiriwa hawa waweze kujenga nyumba zilizoharibika, nyumba zilizobomoka.
And we continue our series reviewing the year 2020, the year that was characterized by instances where fidelity of members of parliament to their legislative mandate came under scrutiny from different fronts, from the Chief Justice's advisory to the President to dissolve parliament, to the dramatic arrest of 4 senators, the dethroning of MPs deemed rebels in the Jubilee Party, and Senate having the last laugh in their supremacy battle with the National Assembly. Here is Kevin Washira with the highlights that shaped Parliament in 2020 amid the COVID-19 disruptions.
Parliament's legislative agenda was substantially disrupted upon confirmation of Kenya's first COVID-19 case. Both houses, the Senate and the National Assembly, proceeded on 1-month recess as the country applied strict protective measures. 10 months into the pandemic, Parliament has felt the pain of the virus, having lost 2 members of the National Assembly, Matungu MP Justus Murunga and Msambweni Suleiman Dori, as well as Machakos Senator Boniface Kabaka, as well as staff members. The mode of operation at the legislature changed with adoption of teleconferencing technology in committee meetings, besides a limited number of members sitting in the plenary in observance of social distance. 2020 is also the year President Uhuru Kenyatta proved he was not a lame duck, jolting the leadership of both the Senate and National Assembly for being rebellious. Majority leaders Aden Duale and Senator Kipchumba Murkomen were replaced with Amos Kemunya and Senator Samuel Pogisio, respectively.
Mr. Speaker, if the only agenda for our party Jubilee has been wrangles from 2018 up to now, not focusing on delivery of services. If the greatest achievement of the President of Kenya is to demonstrate to the people of this country that I have removed my majority leader, I'm a big man. Mr. Speaker, the President is already a big man. I am just but a son of a squatter, born and brought up in Embobut. To be a subject of his discussion over and over again, I want to say, Mr. President, now therefore deliver for the people of Kenya. Murkomen is out of the way. If I was your stumbling block, deliver for the people of Kenya.
Honorable Speaker, my experience as a leader of majority taught me that as one pushes the agenda of the majority party, it is almost inevitable that one will make new friends, new enemies and opponents, particularly within the party, depending on where their interests are. Interestingly, interests also keep evolving, and hence one's opponents today might be his or her friends tomorrow.
Majority whips Benjamin Washeli and Senator Susan Kihika were also de-whipped and their positions given to Emmanuel Wangwe and Senator Irungu Kangata, respectively. Committee chairpersons allied to Deputy President William Ruto in houses were also replaced with MPs allied to the handshake between the President and ODM leader Raila Odinga.
The overall objective of this reorganization of the committees is really the better performance of committees, and also to align the synergies of the members with the visions of the party leaderships.
It shall be remembered that in 2020, the Chief Justice David Maraga, on the strength of 6 petitions faulting Parliament for failing to enact laws that affect the 2/3 gender rule, advised the President to dissolve the August House. The CJ pointed out that Article 261A, read together with the 5th schedule, provides that the enactment of the 2/3 gender principle was among the things Parliament was to do within 5 years after promulgation of the Constitution in 2010. This has not happened 10 years later. 2020 was also the year the Senate took more than 7 weeks to agree on revenue sharing formula for counties, thereby starving the devolved units of cash. A proposal to allocate populous counties more funds at the expense of less populous counties elicited sharp division in the Senate, with critics saying it took funds away from poor regions and handed them to those that are economically stronger.
It will be ungodly for me, the Senator for Kakamega, to take food from a hungry child of Marsabit and take it to Bungoma County. Marsabit County is going to lose 156 million, not tomorrow, today. Kilifi County, Kilifi, my brothers in Coast, you are going to lose today 153 million. When you share food, do you share food according to the number of people or the size of the dinner plate? I think we share food according to the number of people.
The stalemate was solved through allocating counties an additional 53 billion shillings. But this was preceded by the dramatic arrest and release of Senators Cleophas Malala of Kakamega, Christopher Langat of Bomet, and Stephen Lelengwe of Samburu. The government, however, denied the arrest was linked to the revenue vote. The supremacy battle between the National Assembly and the Senate that ended up in court saw the Senate emerge victorious. A 3-judge bench nullified 23 devolution laws that the National Assembly had passed without the input of the Senate. In November, President Uhuru Kenyatta made the State of Nation address at Parliament as required by the Constitution. In his speech, the President sought to reassure Kenyans that the State of Nation is strong despite the economic disruptions brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mr. Speakers, I wish from the onset to assure you that the state of our nation is strong, resilient, and brimming with the promise of an even brighter tomorrow.
The head of state highlighted the progress made in the implementation of his administration's vision.
Senator Nderito John Kenywa, Laikipia County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote no.
Senator Ongeri Samson Kegengo, Kisii County.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
The year 2020 for Parliament came to a close with the impeachment of the Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko at the Senate. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
And we begin the business news with this inspiring story. Nzambi Mati resolved at a young age to be part of the solution to plastic pollution that has defaced the natural beauty, once known as the city under the sun. That has earned her the prestigious 2020 UN Young Champions of the Earth Award, which incorporates funding and mentorship to spur growth of green startups. Betty Kiptum with more.
As waste littered Nairobi's streets and estates, Mate saw an opportunity. She quit her lucrative data analysis career in 2017 to set up a small laboratory in her parents' backyard, where she began creating and testing pavers that are made from plastic and sand. Her nascent social enterprise called Jijenge Makers sought to alleviate the plastic pollution crisis in Nairobi's densely populated neighborhoods and has grown rapidly over the last 3 years thanks to grit, dedication and resilience.
That's when we made the first prototype, the first brick. It was not the best, but it proved a concept. It proved the concept that you can convert plastic waste into an alternative building product. But then during that period, because we were just prototyping, we didn't generate any income, the friends left. So I was left alone.
However, her entrepreneurial aspirations received a boost when she won a scholarship to attend a social entrepreneurship training program in the US. She packed samples of plastic paving blocks in her luggage and used the materials laboratory at the University of Colorado Boulder in the US to further test and refine them. It was while in the US that Mate designed a machine that she would later use to make refined plastic and sand bricks that are ideal for paving roads and playgrounds in Nairobi's informal settlements. Jijenge Makers now churns out 1,500 plastic pavers every day, and they are valued by homeowners and schools thanks to their affordability and durability.
First of all is follow your dreams and just do it. Just start, no matter how small it is, as long as it's something that fulfills you at the end of the day, just start, because you never know how far it will go. And then the other one is, possibilities are endless, so you just have to create them.
Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
And some international business news. Boeing 737 MAX has resumed passenger flights in the U.S. with an American Airlines flights between Miami and New York. Regulators grounded the plane in March 2019 following 2 separate deadly crashes within 5 months. This and more in our business from across the globe.
Federal Aviation Administration lifted the ban last month after Boeing agreed to new safeguards. American Airlines flight showed its confidence in the safety of the 737 MAX. Before the flight's departure, the airline's president Robert Isom said the aircraft had been more highly scrutinized than ever before and expressed confidence that it is the safest in the skies. American Airlines currently has 31 737 MAX aircrafts, including 7 which were delivered after the FAA lifted its safety ban in November. Regulators initially pulled the plane from service after 2 catastrophic crashes killed 346 people. Elsewhere, Tata Group has increased its stake in AirAsia India as it looks to increase its stake in India's airline industry. The company announced it would increase its holdings in the Indian-based joint venture with AirAsia from 51% to 84%. AirAsia, owned by Malaysian tycoon Tony Fernandez, has been scaling back its operations during the COVID-19 pandemic. Tata Group is paying AirAsia around $38 million for the increased stake in the AirAsia India joint venture, which began in 2014. The deal puts the Indian conglomerate firmly in command of the budget carrier. AirAsia has been looking to reduce its cash burn, and its Japan unit filed for bankruptcy last month. Finally, Britain's index of leading shares closed at its highest since the pandemic sparked a market rout in March as investors on Tuesday cheered the post-Brexit trade deal. In the first day of trading since markets closed on Christmas Eve, the FTSE 100 ended up 1.6% at 6,603 points. It was the FTSE's best day since 9th November. And only falls in bank shares topped the index from rising further. U.S. shares hit record highs in early trading, although ended slightly lower. Wall Street was buoyed by U.S. President Donald Trump agreeing to release hundreds of billions of dollars in pandemic spending support. He had previously refused to sign off the deal. Betty Kiptum, Channel 1 Business.
And maize farmers drawn from North Rift region are calling for improved pricing of the commodity ahead of the purchase of stocks from farmers for the year 2020-2021 by the National Cereals and Produce Board. They argue that the 2,500 shillings per 90 kilograms bag of maize offer doesn't commensurate operational costs incurred to grow the staple cereal, and instead propose that the 90 kilograms bag fetches 3,000 shillings.
Farming activities have largely remained immune to the devastating knocks of the COVID-19 pandemic, whose containment measures have wreaked havoc in key sectors of the economy supported by favorable rainfall. However, this seems not to have assured maize farmers of better returns.
Let us use the right means of making money. Hii maneno ya kudanganya watu kwa unaweza kuwa millionaire overnight na usemi ni biashara gani unafanya, tusidanganye watu yetu wa Kenya. Cereal pia umetoka na jambo ya kusema kama mahindi yako itapatikana iko na aflatoxin kwa mfano, ama ina mahindi iko na shida aflatoxin iko high, pia wangetaka kujua because wako pia na dawa yenye tunaweza weka kwa shamba so that to reduce maneno ya aflatoxin. So it is also ni mzuri utokeze ukuje mahindi pimwe kama iko na shida, then tuweze kureverse hiyo maneno so that next year tusikue na hiyo shida.
Tulipata mvua mzuri na tumevuna, lakini vile bei imeanza sio mzuri.
Cereals farmers in the North Rift region are holding a bulk of maize whose harvest was just concluded, angling for better pricing. They argue that the 2,500 shillings per 90 kgs bag of maize offered by the National Cereals and Produce Board does not commensurate operational costs incurred to grow the staple cereal, and instead propose that the 90 kilogram bag of maize fetches 3,000 shillings.
Tuende na 3,000 kwenda mbele, mgolaya atafurahi. Hapa Wazingishu it's about 5 million bucks, lakini Kenya mzima is about 50 million bucks.
Moiben, Member of Parliament Silas Tiran, reiterated the need to support farmers to earn from their livelihoods if food security is to be achieved. Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
All right, we are going to be taking another break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. Please stay with us. We still have more for you.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, Christmas imekuja mapema na quick bid. Lucky bidda ako hapa. Tumpe ndugu yake.
Ndio huyu anaitwa Penua. Heshimiwa na tumemheshimu.
Karibu.
Nduti ndio hii kifungu. Shika kifungu yako boss. Ulibidaje?
Niliingia kwa site ya quickbid.co.ke. Alafu nikafuata the process.
Oh yes.
Nikabid 158 na ndio nikaweza kubai nayo hii pikipiki.
Christmas hii hakuna kutembea. Ndio huyu mheshimiwa Kate. Tufanye aje? Shika. Kalia nduti. Ndio hii ni ya customer. Hiyo ni yako. Sawa. Kalia nduti, chukua helmet nini yako? Valia, leta nikushikie hii. Valia. Bas, quick bit wanahakikisha pia safety. Iko on point. Haya, kalia nduti. Kate, si twende tushughulikie wengine. Si ndio? Si twende tushughulikie wengine. Asanteni sana.
Jiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Tonight.
Now to matter sports. Olympic Games are the career highlights of any athlete. Japan was to host the games of the 32nd Olympiad from the 24th of July to the 9th of August before the games were postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Kenyan athletes were among those who participated at the games have been delayed. We take a look at those who made the cut in the year 2020.
After the Kenya Rugby Sevens teams, Shujaa and Lionesses qualified for the Tokyo Olympics, the Malkia Strikers are the task of securing another team slot at the Africa Women's Volleyball Qualifiers in Yaoundé, Cameroon in January. Malkia started their campaign with wins against Egypt and Botswana before facing the arch-rivals Cameroon in the third round. A 3-2 win of 25-16, 23-25, 25-21, 23-25 and 15-11 was followed by a straight sets win over Nigeria to secure a place for the volleyball queens at the games for the first time in 16 years. Kenya's boxing legacy was put to the test in Dakar, Senegal in February. Only 2 of the 13 boxers entered for the African qualifiers booked tickets to the Olympic Games. Nick Okoth qualified after taking a silver medal in the men's featherweight division, and Christine Ongare got the third slot in the women's flyweight after winning her box-off against Uganda's Catherine Nanziri. Kenya hopes to qualify more boxers at the World Olympic Qualification Tournament set for Paris in June 2021. Taekwondo practitioner Faith Ogalo made it to the games after taking second place in the women's 67 kilos and over after a second place finish at the African qualifiers held in Morocco. Kenya is seeking for places in judo.
Now moving on, Liverpool defender Joel Matip and midfielder Naby Keita will miss tonight's English Premier League clash against Newcastle United at St James Park as the champions took to open a 5-point gap at the top of the standings. Meanwhile, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta says he is determined to cool the excitement surrounding youngster Bukayo Saka after the 19-year-old once again impressed in the Gunners' 1-0 win away to Brighton. All right, we are now going to be wrapping up KBC Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for creating time to catch the latest in our comprehensive news broadcast. My name is Serfine Ouma, and our sign language interpreter has been Lensa Odingo.
Vera Beauty College. Vera Beauty and Fashion College with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret,